Sarah, can you share with us what initially sparked your passion and how you built the brand?
Yes, so I've always loved art. So art's been a really big thing for me, and I felt like fashion was just a stem from that. So from there I went on to uni and did fashion design at uni, and it was really there that I thought about like starting a brand, but I think I didn't expect to do it straight away. And to be honest, I wanted to start a brand because I felt like I had a bit more that I wanted to share rather than working for somebody. So after I finished uni, I was like sorting out my portfolio and everything. I got my first job offer, which was in Stockholm in Sweden, but because of classic COVID, they pulled the job, and that was when I was like, right, there's never really going to be a right time, so I may as well give it a go and start now. But when I started, I was working part-time in retail, and I did drawing commissions on the side, as well as, you know, putting one-off pieces out, and just started really gradually, and it's just been a complete natural progression from that time.
It's certainly blown up, as you can say of that. In an industry often associated with fast fashion and disposable trends, your emphasis on timeless designs and conscious luxury is refreshing. How do you ensure that your designs stand the test of time, and what role do you see ethical fashion playing in shaping the future of fashion?
So as a business at the moment, we make everything in-house. So it means that we can quality check everything before it gets sent out. And as well, like, we have a strong aim of not focusing on trends. So when I think you focus on trends, that's when it becomes a little bit less timeless. So we try and create pieces that can be worn time after time, year after year, but still have like a little bit of a twist on it. But I think it's really exciting looking forward for the industry. You know, ethical fashion, I think there's going to be like, it really allows a space for like new practices and a lot more creativity than is even out there now.
And upcycling plays a significant role in your design process. Can you talk us through that creative process?
Yes, so with upcycling, there's quite a few different reasons actually. So obviously one of them being the sustainable side of things, another being that I personally used to do a lot in my wardrobe for years, but another one was that I always loved tailoring, and being in uni for 3 years, you only really scratch the surface. So you're kind of getting your core skills, but tailoring is just like a completely different realm of things. So when I was designing and starting the brand, I knew I wanted to incorporate that, but I thought, you know, I don't have that skill set right now, but how can I adapt what I have into, you know, tailoring, and like, what can I do? So that was by adapting pre-loved tailored garments, and I think that's why it's really important just to not think you can't do everything. Like, if you just adapt what you've got, like, you can find ways around things and then learn as you go on the way.
So everything is self-taught, and do you do everything yourself, or do you have a team around you?
So we've just started building a little team, which is great. They're amazing. So yeah, a lot it goes through me, but then I also now have help from a seamstress when things get really busy, and I have help also, a little team with the business side of things, just because, like I said, I'm grateful that I've got to the stage where I can start building a team, which is amazing. And, you know, it hasn't happened overnight. It is a journey to get to this point. So at the beginning I did do everything, but yeah, I'm just blessed that I've been able to get to the point of growing the team now.
Fabulous. And your brand has been worn by some incredible women, including Ashley Roberts, Perry Edwards, Steph London, Mabel, Molly May and Halsey. And it has been featured in Vogue and ID, to name a few. What has been your biggest wow moment so far?
When you list it, I'm like, yeah, all of them. Yeah, I'm like, okay. Yeah, because you don't really reflect on it, I think, sometimes yourself. So, yeah, to be honest, I feel like I appreciate so much of the journey anyway, as I've mentioned previously. So I think Vogue was a real big one at the time that, you know, I was featured, because I think it was just having that recognition from people really trusted in the industry and that I really looked up to. Like I used to collect Vogue magazines when I was younger, like I had ones going back to like the 60s, so that was always a love for me. So I think being featured in there, and there was another one like in Cosmopolitan where I was highlighted as a designer to watch. So again, I think that just when that came out, it was just at the time I needed that little boost. So, and it was just weird when I would walk into like my nearest shop and I was there on the stand. So that was just kind of a surreal feeling, and those things that you don't think could happen to you.
Happened.
Yeah.
And do you remember that first moment where you thought, something like that did happen to you? What was that?
So I think the Vogue was actually,
really?
yeah.
Starting strong.
Yeah. So, right. But you know what? I think it was because that happened, like, I think within the first year, which, to be honest, I think it was unheard of, really. I think I got quite lucky with that. But you know what? If I really do take it back, I think even selling my first few pieces and to get to the stage of setting up my website, because then when I was setting up my website, I was like, okay, I'm actually at the stage where I feel I'm known enough that people can come straight to my website. Whereas when I started, it was on Depop. And I had to start there because it was kind of like passing footfall. Like no one had heard of me at that point. So I needed a platform. And I was, again, blessed by them to be spotlighted quite a few times. And that then progressed me, and kind of, I probably was featured a lot more on like people's socials and things because of things like that. So this is what I mean. It is hard to actually pinpoint one, because I feel I've always been grateful for every little bit of the journey, because if I hadn't had even Depop highlight me, that probably wouldn't have pushed me to people in Vogue to see me and things like that. So, and even, sorry, I'm going, there's so many things now I'm thinking about. But again, even just, I think when celebrities wear like my clothing and I'm featured in magazines, I think it's amazing and it's such an exciting moment. But I think even simply having consumers purchase my items, that in itself is amazing. And I think so will always be amazing, because I'm thinking they're an everyday person who's worked for the money and is chosen to spend that on the things that I've created. Because I think, you hear imposter syndrome quite a lot, and I do think that I still probably, I think a lot of people in the industry have that. So even when people are like purchasing things, it's a win in itself.
Yeah, that's fab. And is there anything that you haven't accomplished yet that's on the bucket list in terms of being a designer in the industry?
I think, of course, I'm just trying to grow in the sense of, getting to the masses a little bit more. Of course, we've been like sustainably conscious, so that's what I'm currently working on, of literally growing. So of course I would like to be there in like maybe physical stores. I think that's quite a big aim. So because I do get people asking me, can I try it, can I come and see it? And I think with my pieces, they're really great in person, because you can see the texture, you can see the shape a lot more. So I think that's definitely an aim that I want for the next few coming years and everything. So people can actually come in person and see.
That'd be fab, seeing it in Selfridges.
See it, exactly.
And are there any female figures in your life who have influenced your career or in the industry?
So I'd say a couple to begin with. Because of course there's loads, but I have to say my mum. I have to say my mum, because even though she doesn't have a business and she's definitely not creative, she's just been the biggest support system. And I think as a brand owner, a business owner, I don't think this is even tied in with the fashion industry. I think just having a business is really difficult and it's challenging. So I think it's just so important having that support system around you and just having that words of wisdom and things like that. So I'm just very blessed to have, her as that support system. But I think as well then, if I'm thinking in the industry, so there's a lady called Rakaya Canham, and she owned Canham's, a brand, and I only came across her actually quite recently, but she was I feel like very inspiring. I heard her on a podcast, and she was talking about her journey, and I could just relate quite a lot to that. And it was just somebody who, again, kind of started from nothing. She started just with one piece, and really just progressed naturally. And now she's, you know, in stores all over the world, and in Harvey Nichols, and in stores in like Dubai and everything like that. And I think she's very open and honest about her journey and her challenges that she faces through it. And so I think that for me, it's just nice to have someone to relate to, but also she's a little bit ahead in her journey, and I can be like, if I stick with it, you know,
that's where I'll be.
Yeah, the goals that I want to achieve, like she had, can be achieved again.
Yeah. So fab. So going back to design, as you can see, the i7 is a very design-driven vehicle. If you were to create a piece inspired by the i7, what would you create and why?
So I'd first look at like the characteristics of the i7, which I feel is like very elegant. It's visually very luxurious, and you know, but it's definitely like a statement. So then I would tie that into like my upcycled practice. So I think I would possibly look into upcycling like driver's seats, maybe if that's faux leather seats, and create maybe like a set, like a really strong jacket and pants set. And then I would kind of use features again around the design. So I know that it's got like a kidney shaped grille and the crystallized like embellishments and things. So I think I would look around that and tie them into this kind of like really strong look.
Sounds fabulous. Thank you. And finally, if you had to give a piece of advice to someone who is an aspiring fashion designer, what would you say to them?
Straight away, I'd just say trust your vision, because as a designer, you have to be 10 steps ahead of everybody. So we're not the ones looking at the trends, like we're actually the ones creating the trends. So I think if you're like looking around at like what you're creating and it doesn't seem to fit in, I think that actually means you're on the right track. So yes, trust your gut and definitely just be patient. It really doesn't happen overnight. You might kind of look at other people thinking it does and how they got there, but I'm sure there'll be probably a lot of hard work that you haven't seen. So it's probably, just realising it's not a 9 to 5. And you just kind of do have to make some sacrifices, whether it's time, whether it's, disposable income. You might have to be putting that back into the business. So it's kind of like just being aware of like these sacrifices. But, I do feel like if you love it so much and you're so passionate about it, go for it. And like I said, trust your gut and trust your vision.
Great. And what's next for Sarah Robinson?
Ooh.
Are you allowed to say?
Well, at the end of the day, I'm just growing. There's been a lot of like background business things that we've been doing to try and grow the business. Of course, a lot is based around upcycling, but we want to expand from that as well. Of course, like we are still conscious of the sustainable side of things, so it's really just being conscious about the next decisions we make and just developing it so it's more accessible for people and there's more to choose from, there's more selection. Like I said, hopefully maybe getting on some more platforms in stores and things. So it's just kind of like those next steps of growth and hopefully creating still amazing pieces.
Watch this space.
Yeah,
Sarah,
watch
thank
this
you
space.
so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.